Hi friends, welcome to a third lecture of lean manufacturing. So today I am going to discuss what are the key principles of the lean manufacturing. Okay. So the term lean was first introduced by the Womack and Jones, and it includes the 5 elements of the principle. What are those 5 elements? The 5 element comprises of the 5 parts. The first one is the value, second is the value stream, the third is the flow, fourth pull, and the fifth perfection. Okay, so when it's come to a value, what is this value? The value can only be defined by the ultimate customer. The value are those parts for which the customer is willing to pay. If I am going to produce a certain product, so the product must bear a certain kind of attributes of the quality for which his customer is going to pay for it. Customer is never going to pay for the non-value attributes or the quality which the product bears. Okay. So the first step is to identify the value. Once we identify the value, we need to identify or map the value stream. How I am going to achieve those value in my product? What will be the process involved across the activity from the initiation to the final? So each of my process is going to contribute a certain amount of it to make the value. Okay. The third one is making a value flow. So irrespective of a product type, if I'm going to manufacture a product Y, if I'm going to manufacture a product X, so both of the product will bear a certain kind of process flow, the manufacturing process flow, right from the initiation of the stage 1 to the final stage. Okay. For example, bringing a raw material, then processing a raw material to produce a goods, then getting it QC release and ultimately passing into the customers end. So all this process, okay. So we need to make this process in such a way that each process gives a benefits or it gives a certain contribution to a value of that product. Okay. The fourth one is the pull production, not the push production. So in the lean manufacturing, the organization or the manufacturer needs to focus on the pull production system, not the push production system. So I am going to discuss in detail in the upcoming slide. Then the fifth step comes the perfection. Perfection does not just mean the quality. It means producing exactly what the customer wants. Okay. What exactly when the customer requires it, a fair price with a minimum waste. Now we'll be discussing in detail what are this value or the waste. So in any of the organization, there are two kinds of activity which are involved. The first activity is a value added activity. The second is a non-value added activity. For the value added activity, we need to keep more emphasis because those is of our interest for which customer is going to look after it. Okay. When it's come to a non-value added activity, the non-value added activity can be clubbed into two parts. The first one is the necessary waste. The second is the pure waste. So for the pure waste, we need to eliminate. And for the necessary waste, we need to minimize it. What is the definition of the value? Value is what the customer sees in a product or the services. It is what the customer is willing to pay for it. Okay. But it has no relation with the cost. Remember this guy. It should not be related with the cost. What is the waste? Anything that does not add the value from the customer standpoint of view can be called as a waste. For example, I am making a one product. Okay. If I need to deliver this product to a customer, I am going to pack that product. Okay. Once I pack that product, there will be a certain cost involved in packing of this product in terms of the packaging material. So being a manufacturer, I may put more cost in terms of the aesthetic appearance of packing of that product. But that aesthetic appearance for that customer is not, customer is not bothering for the aesthetic appearance of product. What is main looking for the quality of the end product which is there inside it. So customer is not going to pay up money from his pocket for that packaging item. So the manufacturer, they need to understand what the customer required, what are the wants. Okay. So whenever you work in a particular process, so each of an activity, in each of the activity will be divided into two parts. The first one is the value added activity. The second is a non-value added activity. If I want to give a score of 100, so out of 100, my 80% of the activity would be a non-value added activity, okay? And the remaining would be the value added activity, for which we need to map. So you can see I'm trying my best to explain you in terms of the flow charts. When you see towards my left hand side, the value added, what is this value added, what the customer is willing to pay for it, okay? And what are the non-value added activities? Guys, we are talking about the non-value added, but before talking about the non-value added activity, what are this? This could be the defect, the waiting, inventory, transportation, overproduction, excess processing, underutilized employees. So these are all the non-value added activity. But this can be classified into more in detail. The first one is the essential, the second is the non-essential. So what I have given a matrix of 2 by 2. So this essential, you can see, I mean, the activity which is value added, those are essential. So for that we need to work on the evaluation. The non-value added activity which are essential in nature needs to be analyzed and improved upon. Okay. When it's come to a non-essential, but those are value added, for that also we need to analyze and improve. But when the non-essential, when clubbed with the non-value added, for that we need to eliminate. I hope this is clear. So this chart you need to keep in your mind when you work in a particular process. What are the value, what are the non-value added activity? Okay. So lean focuses on eliminating a non-value added activity, guys. So value adding would be the 5%, but non-value added which is necessary but not value adding, for which we need to minimize it, okay, which is of 25%, and the rest of the 60% are the non-value adding which is equivalent to the waste, okay. So we need to attack NV activity which is the non-value added, not the value added. I hope this is clear for you. So once we understand what are the difference between the value and waste, we need to understand the value stream, the processes involved into achieving of that value. So ideally the time spent by the product from its initial stage until it is in hand of the customer should be a value adding. Okay. So how to identify the value stream? It comprises of certain steps. For example, I am going to quickly give you an overview, but in the upcoming my lecture I am going to discuss this in detail. What is the value stream? How to achieve the value stream? What are the principles? So I am just going to touch upon about the overview. The first one is to define the product family. Okay. The product means it could be the good or the services. Okay. The second is to document a current state. What is the current state? How I am achieving that product in my manufacturing process. Okay. Then I am going to design the future state. So before and after. Before means what? The current state. So in my current state I am going to look upon the activity which is a value added activity and the other is a non-value added activity. So I am going to identify it. Then based on my requirement I am going to design my future state. So in the future state, if before the change there were 80% of the non-value added activity, but what I am going to focus, the future state should not bear the 80% of the NV activity, it should bear the 40% or the 30%. Then I am going to create an implementation plan in order to achieve this future state, and then I am going to implement it. So this is a repetition process. So throughout my process in this, I am going to check whether what I have done is it correct or not. So this is called the value stream. The third is the flow. So once we understand the value and the waste, once we identify the value and waste in our process, then we need to go through the value stream mapping. Once we identify the value stream mapping, we need to work keeping in mind the flow. What is the requirement? Okay. So the flow, the elimination of discontinuity in the process is called as a flow. So if there is a two assembly line, both the assembly line is interconnected with each other. Okay. The output of assembly line 1 is dependent upon the assembly line 2 activity. So what I need to do? I need to ensure that there should be no bottleneck across the station. I mean the assembly 1 and assembly 2. But before that, we need to understand why this discontinuity occurs, why there is not a proper flow. It could be due to the batch mentality. Second, focus on maximizing the utilization of expensive equipments. The third could be the lack of flexibility in the system, lack of trust. So the focus on the root cause of discontinuity and to address them. So in the lean, we need to focus which is that step, which is the processes, which is not helping in a continuous flow. So when you see my chart, there is a station 1, station 2 and station 3. So what is happening? The station 1 is creating a bottleneck due to some X reason. That bottleneck is what it is resulting. If you see before station 1, there are ample amount of unit. Let's assume there are 100 units at station 1. So the activity which is going in station 1, that guy or that operator is not able to convert those 100 units into a required unit for which station 2 is looking after it. So there is a bottleneck. So this bottleneck, it's not creating a continuous flow in the processes. So what I need to do? I need to run from my office area and then I need to go to that station to do the inspection. I need to do a proper inspection. At what station this bottleneck has been created? I should not sit idly in my office. I should go over there. I see the process. I should do the micro mapping. Okay. But when you compare this station 1 with the station 2, the second line. So what is happening? This station 1 and station 2, station 3. So bottleneck is in between station 1 and station 2. Not in station 2 and station. For this also I need to do an inspection. Okay. So I hope this is clear, guys. Once we maintain the proper flow, the first step comes to establish the pull. So in any of the industry, there are two concepts we work upon. The first one is the push system, which means make to stop. The second is the pull system, which means make to order. So what happens in push system? So as a manufacturer, what I am going to do, I am going to produce a certain X amount of units or a product irrespective of a customer demand, irrespective of the demands which is there in the market from the customer end. I am going to make it and then I am going to store that inventory. The goods will remain as it is in my premises, or it will be in the hands of the distributor or the dealer. It will not be going to reach in the customer hand. But what will happen in the second concept, which is the pull system? The customer is going to give us the requirement, and based on the requirement, my manufacturer is going to transform or is going to convert the raw material into a certain amount of the product. So what will happen? What it means? Do what is necessary and when it is necessary. Let the customer pull the production. We should not push the production from our side. Have a streamlined processes so that the system responds quickly to demand and changes in the requirements. Doing this, what will happen if I am going to work in the pull system? So there will be no inventory either at the manufacturer level or at a distributor level or at a dealer level. Because if there is an inventory, there is a risk or there is a threat for that inventory. The threat could be in terms of anything. For example, as we progress slowly, the product or the value which is there in the product is going to decrease in terms of its shelf life. Secondly, it is carrying an inventory cost for it carrying the particular product, which is adding a cost to my particular unit. Okay, this will help in eliminating the batches. So I hope you must understand that the pull system is much more better than the push system, but this is not true. It depends upon the condition of the scenario, but usually the manufacturer should follow the pull systems. Okay. Once we achieve all the 4 steps, the last step is to see in terms of perfection. So guys, once we implement the steps or the process to achieve the value, it's not we should not stop at that level. We should focus how to sustain that thing, how to make the standardized, how to ensure that in my 10 months down the lane or 12 months down the lane, whatever I am going to do, it will be adding a certain value in the product. I need to keep that sustained. So to ensure that, there are 2 key principles, which is a continuous improvement, which is called as Kaizen. The second is the Pdca cycle, which I hope you must be knowing, everyone, which is called as a plan to check cycle. So what is this Kaizen? The Kaizen word is split into a 2 part. The first one is the Kai. The second is the Zen. Kai means change. Zen means good. It is a Japanese word. So change for a good. I hope this is clear. Not change for the bad, change for the good. Okay. So change for good means what? A continuous improvement. If I achieve a value into my product, it doesn't mean that whatever I have achieved is sufficient. Maybe going through a continuous improvement, I can achieve more. You're getting? Yes. So what is this Kaizen? Kaizen means a change for a betterment, a change for a good, which is called as a continuous improvement. So Kaizen is a cycle for a continuous improvement. It requires identifying the area for the improvements, creating a solution and plans for a rollout, and then cycling it throughout the process again. So it also involves a certain steps how to implement the Kaizen. First of all, the first step is to get employee involved. Second is to gather the list of the problems, identify the problem, encourage a solution, and then choose a relevant idea to address those problems. The fourth one is, once we identify the solution, then test the solution, whether the solution is effective or not, whether I have selected a particular right solution amongst the 100 available. Okay. The fifth is to regularly and measure the analysis the result. Sixth, if successful, adopt the solution. Then repeat the ongoing basis. So this is a continuous cyclic process for which is called as a continuous improvement. Now let's discuss what is this Pdca cycle. So in the Pdca cycle, the first step is the plan, followed by do, check and act. So when it's come to plan what you want to improve. Don't plan the thing which you don't want to improve it, or which you want to improve. You're getting confused. Yes. So plan only what you want to improve. What is the main barrier to overcome your problem? How can you eliminate it? What needs to be done to overcome it? So guys, we need to answer all this listed question. Okay. The second is to take action. Conduct the improvement on a small scale level and see if what you had thought would happen will indeed happen or not. So you need to check whether whatever you have planned it's doable or not. In the checked third step of the check, what we are going to do, I am going to observe and gather the data. Did it work as I expected? Has the problem been eliminated? Then we will be moving into a fourth step, which is an act. React based on the result. If it works, log the improvement and make it part of every day. Then follow the same step again and again in your daily routine life in the processes. If not, then go again and find another solution. So repeat this process. Okay. I hope, this would be clear, the 5 principles of lean manufacturing. Thank you. Please follow me on below links to get more details. Instagram, LinkedIn and YouTube. Take care.